Hi guys, I'm not really sure how to begin this one, but I want to create a new kind of content for my channel. And this is basically based on what I already do, and that's creating concepts. However, where I normally would design a phone that is upcoming, so for instance right now for Samsung Galaxy S11 or something like that, I want to do something different. And with that, I want to take an old phone, for this one the Samsung Galaxy S5 as you might see, and redesign it, change some things, while still retaining the design details that that phone had. However, there are some changes that that phone needed. And that is where this video comes in. I would redesign the phone itself and see what I would like different on the phone. And the Samsung Galaxy S5 is a good starting candidate. However, it's up to you to decide what phone is next. So be sure to leave a comment below on which phone you want to see redesigned. Now, this is not a phone that is still needing to come out. For instance, the Samsung Galaxy S11 or the Pixel 4. Those phones aren't out yet. I want to redesign phones that are already out and being sold in the market. And then I can have that approach where I can say, okay, I want it to look like this and redesign it. Now, this idea is somewhat based on SketchMonkey. He basically redesigns a car that is already out and then changes what he likes better on it. And I really like that approach, and it's also easy to then show the process that I'm going through to create a concept. So basically those steps that I'm going to do for this one is basically for every single one. However, I already have somewhat of a blueprint to design this phone. So anyway, let's start with this video, and of course let's start with redesigning the Samsung Galaxy S5. So like I said, we're going to start with the Samsung Galaxy S5. Now, the Samsung Galaxy S5 had quite a distinguished look, and this is why I feel like this is a good device to redesign. Now, the Samsung Galaxy S5 actually came with an IP67 rating, which is quite impressive, and the Samsung Galaxy S5 is till date one of my favorite S series because it had a lot of function and it didn't really give away too much for it. Now, with the Samsung Galaxy S5 though, a lot of people didn't like the gold version. It kind of looked like a band-aid version. And honestly, I get that. It does look a bit like a band-aid. But there are some features that I really appreciate. The dotted back actually looked really nice on the blue version. The blue version of the Samsung Galaxy S5 is the one that I bought because I really liked it. And the Samsung Galaxy S5 is actually my favorite Samsung Galaxy S series. Apart from that though, what I really liked is how they did the heart rate sensor and of course the flash next to it. What they did with it is actually it is dented in a bit. This made it easy to distinguish when you were not looking at it. So that is something that I definitely am keeping. Of course, the home button itself, I really liked it. I didn't like the fingerprint scanner of it though. So we're gonna do that the same as on the Samsung Galaxy S6 and S7. So you just hold it there without swiping down. The idea I liked at the beginning, but it didn't always work well. And of course, our two main buttons, navigation buttons, they are going to stay. And I want to redesign, of course, the speaker as well. I didn't really like it. And next to that, the main thing that I actually want to redesign is, of course, the frame itself. It had this weird rounded part on it, and I really didn't like how they done that. So we're gonna redesign that and also make that metal instead of plastic. Because the plastic did, at some time, go off it, and then you would have these white marks that didn't really look good. But apart from that, it was really a good phone to have, and it was actually really durable. One of the most durable Samsungs that I've used. Actually, my brother works in construction and he had this Samsung Galaxy S5 and it could take a lot of beating. But we're gonna redesign this one, and starting off, I really want to do something about that frame. So let's start with drawing and see what we get out of that one first. So like I said, I want to redesign the frame itself. Now, something that you might remember is the Samsung Galaxy Note 4 that was the first, well, technically the Samsung Galaxy Alpha, I think it was the first with a metal frame, but the Note 4 also had a metal frame. So I want to implement that with, of course, the chamfered edges. So if we just, this is simple drawing. This is just to get the idea on paper and then follow up in Illustrator and then follow up in 3D and then make changes if need be. So we're gonna design the frame itself. This is the main frame, but around that we will have, of course, the chamfered edge, something that I actually really liked on it. Now, what the Samsung Galaxy Note 4 had, and that I'm going to use on this one as well, is a little change where this part goes up. So it basically has an elevating part and then it goes around the corner. So we're gonna use that as well. Now, my 3D part painting, drawing kind of thing isn't the best, so we're just gonna use this as a frame of reference. This is something that I can use later and see, okay, what did I want to do actually there? That's the base idea of it. So what I'm doing here is basically drawing out the idea that I have with it. For the Samsung Galaxy S5 I didn't really like the speaker, but next to that the alignment wasn't nice. The sensors and the camera weren't properly aligned with the rest of the phone, so I feel like that should have been adjusted. Then of course I go into Illustrator and just adjust everything and make sure that the size is actually proper. Now while in this one I actually made the speaker on the back, I decided to have it on the bottom like on the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. I feel like that is a nicer approach, but also something that was used around that time. So it works, it's not cheating, it's allowed. So here of course I'm just simply following the 2D sketch that I made before. It's useful to have this 2D sketch to have the proper measurement and of course a placement of everything. It's easier to do something in 2D and edit it properly on scale and of course placement than to do that in 3D. Now there are some key features, like I said, that I want to have changed. The frame itself is the main thing that I feel like should have changed. And of course the front design is slightly different while retaining the things that I liked about the Samsung Galaxy S5. Of course the bottom, we will have a normal USB 3.0 that we've seen on the Samsung Galaxy S5, but there is no flap. Fun fact, I did forget the headphone jack and I had to fix that later on. It isn't in this video, but yeah, that's the thing. While modeling, I usually make a folder called useless. This useless folder is basically things that I needed to cut out parts or anything like that, but after it I don't need it. What I do then is make it invisible, and at the end I make sure that I drag it to the side so I can easily delete it in KeyShot, because it will show up in KeyShot. After that is done, I use a 3D model that I already made for the camera, for instance, and then import it into this file. After that I place it properly and then I have a complete model. After that complete model I export it again so it's properly centered, because for teasers it really needs to be properly centered, else it will just circle around it and it won't work. What I do with teasers is basically I turn around the environment and at the same time I counter that with turning the phone the other way. This means that the light moves around it but nothing really happens to the phone. This way I can create a teaser. Now normally I would advise to first look for a song, because this can give you a vibe on what you want to do with it. But sometimes I do prefer just to animate and see how it comes out. Sometimes I just simply have ideas for animation that I want to have. For instance, this rotating part, I just like it. It is something that somewhat has been used by Samsung on the Samsung Galaxy S5, but I implement it in a different way. For instance, with the Samsung Galaxy S5, it does change those colors in a way where it moves around it, but they do it differently, and they also basically have a text of what color it is. Next to that, it doesn't zoom in like this. And I felt like this would have been a nice transition into the next shot, so that is what I've done with this shot. So there is some inspiration for the Samsung Galaxy S5 with basically this Galaxy S5. So after all is done, I'm gonna just make more scenes and we'll get back to you guys with the full video. So that was my take on redesigning the Samsung Galaxy S5. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. And like I said, if you want a phone to be redesigned, just let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this kind of video, don't forget to leave a like, because that's a clear indication that you enjoy this kind of content. Either way, when you vote for a phone, make sure that it isn't a phone that is released, for instance, this year. That's pretty boring, and there isn't a lot you can do with current phones in terms of designs, to be honest. All the phones, you know, you had a bit more freedom. Either way, let me know in the comments below what you want to see redesigned. For instance, the LG G5 I heard as an option, or the HTC M8. And actually, I think the LG G5 is a good candidate to actually be redesigned, because that wasn't a beautiful phone. Either way, like I said, let me know in the comments below what you want to see different. And of course, talk to you guys in the next one.